Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is the August instalment of What God Taught Me this month, and I thought I'd come and sit outside because it's a nice little day out here. It is currently the 26th of August, so just a few days before you're seeing this. It's a beautiful day. As you may or may not know, I've been doing these since January, kind of documenting what God has been teaching me over the last month, the lessons that I've learned, how I've grown in the last month. And yeah, so this month's no different. It's been a very, let's say, difficult month. But yeah, let's just get straight on into the bulk of this video. So this month started, we were in the Isle of Man on a beach mission. We went on the last day of July, and so the first 2 weeks of August we were just in the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man is a very, very special place to me. I was baptised there, I became a Christian there. I've had my rock bottom in the Isle of Man, and this year was no different. This year also had its momentous occasion. 5 days after we got there, we got a phone call saying that Grampy, Mum's dad, his cancer had spread. He had prostate cancer, and that it had spread, and we had about a year left. So that was one thing to start to digest. But I'm afraid that's not the end of the story. Later that evening, literally 5 hours later, we got another phone call from my mum's brother saying, "Have you heard the news?" Mum was like, "Oh yeah, we've heard about it." He was like, "No, I don't think you have, like, Grampy's died." And so again, that was a massive shock because we thought we had a year. But that's kind of what God started to teach me. On that day, it was actually 5 years since I'd been baptised on that very day. That morning we'd sung In Christ Alone, which was also sung at my baptism, and the thought for the day that day was Psalm 46, which is one of the passages in the Bible that I always go back to. Psalm 46 verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God, I will be exalted among the nations." That is what is tattooed onto my wrist. So yeah, in that day, God had already made his presence so known to me, and I thought, oh, this is incredible, like, it's the day I was baptised, like, all these things are happening to make me realise just how, like, great God is. There's no such thing as a coincidence with God. And then I've come to realise since that he was making me feel that, so that I knew that even in those dark times with that horrible news, like, God's presence was still so clear. And so yeah, both me and my sister stayed for another week. We were planning on doing that anyway, but I feel God's presence so clearly in Peel, and this year was no different. So yeah, it was a tough couple of weeks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Processing things whilst being busy, but what I learned from that was that there can be glimpses of joy even in complete heartbreak and complete, like, times of horrificness. There were moments that I look back on with so much joy, and I'm so glad that I stayed, because these things wouldn't have happened. Like, one of my friends and I, one evening there was a meteor shower, so we went and watched all these shooting stars in the sky, and we're just in complete awe of God's creation, that even in the darkness there are still glimpses of his absolute awe and beauty. In the same way, one evening, me and a few girls, one of the families that come and support the beach mission, who we love so dearly, we had like a worship evening, and just in that room, like, God was there so obviously. Yeah, like, God doesn't abandon you when you're struggling. He picks you up and carries you through it. And this year more than any, this month more than any, I felt that so clearly. That's not to say there weren't still very dark times in this month, because there have been, but God has been so clear in that. So yeah, that's kind of what the first thing he's been teaching me. The second thing is the value of having supportive friends around you. I knew how valuable supportive friends were before this, but the amount of people that have just rallied round and supported us and messaged us and loved us and sat and cried with us and distracted us has been amazing. And so many of those people are from the church, and it's just like, it's such a credit to the church. Obviously the church is not just the building, the church is 100% about the people within it, and the church itself is called to like emulate Christ. And there have been glimpses of people becoming Christ-like, especially of this month, just going out of their way to support you. And like the day we found out Grampy had died, within 20 minutes there were people at the door coming to pray with us. Like, people truly care. The only way I can describe it is like a warm hug. Even when people aren't physically there, just to have a message being like, hey, how are you? Like, I'm here if you want to chat. If you don't want to chat, I'm still here. Yeah, I've never more than this month have I realised the importance of true, like, incredible godly friends who will just pick up and do whatever you need them to, and are there to support you. You're not a burden to them, and people genuinely want to help. So the value of good godly friendships has been incredible, and in the same way God's strength, and really relying on his strength, I've had to this month. If you watch my testimony video, you'll know that I found the time that my gran was ill, which was about 2 years ago. She'd had a stroke in the February and then she died in the October, but during those 6 months she couldn't walk, she couldn't eat, she couldn't do anything, she couldn't talk, and we kind of just watched her decline. We were kind of mourning her while she was still alive, and I really struggled with that because I felt like I had to be the kind of like strong one in the house, and I didn't have that strength at all. I've kind of felt like that too, but not in the same way, because like, I'm not relying on my own strength at all. The only reason I'm getting through the days and I seem okay is because I'm relying on God's strength to get me through, and like, that's the only reason. And I'm having to, and because I'm having to, it's teaching me so much of, this isn't just a, well, you're sad, rely on God's strength. It's a all the time rely on God's strength, and he will always provide that if you just knock and ask. One example of such strength was the funeral, which was a couple of days ago now. Obviously it's not a nice thing to be going to someone's funeral. Like, it's never a nice event really, but the peace that I felt during that service was just, I can't even describe it. It was just so evident that I didn't even doubt it was from God. Obviously you still got upset and it's still a hard time to mourn someone, but the service was so perfect for the person that it was for. Mum did a lovely like eulogy and we all learnt so much, and I'm just glad it was how it was, but I knew I'd have struggled to get through it without God. So yeah. And then something else he's been teaching me, I told you it was a lot, he teaches you a lot through hardship. His timing is perfect. This has been clearly shown to me in more ways than one. With Grampy, my whole family was in the same place. If it was a week later, we'd have all been in different places. But when we found out, all we did was sit and cry together and pray together, and like, it was as perfect a way that we could have found out ever. We were in one of the places that I feel most connected to God. We were all together, we had good church community around us. Yeah, like, his timing is perfect. In the same way, Stephen's still not very well, but that's not my thing to go into. But his timing is perfect with that too, even in sickness and in health. There is always a reason that we go through the things we go through, and I've been learning so much that a lot of the time the reason that hardship happens is to teach us something, and to draw near to him. That's what I've been learning anyway. I need to draw near to God when I'm struggling. I also need to draw near to him when I'm not struggling, but especially in times of hardship. And then finally, the last thing I've been learning, and you might have actually already noticed the effect of this, is to try and replicate the humility of Christ. Yeah, when I put out that weekly vlog a couple of weeks ago, kind of showing the raw emotion of finding out about Grampy, and the days leading after that, I've had so many messages being like well done for being so vulnerable. Like, I couldn't have done that, and I can't do that either. the vulnerability is not from me. The only reason I am able to be vulnerable with people at the moment is because it's reflecting Christ's humility. He wasn't uptight and proud, and I'm not sharing where I'm struggling. No, he told people when he was struggling in the same way. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to get uptight about things. I just want to be honest. That there's kind of no point not being honest with people when you're struggling. And I'm definitely learning that I think pride can definitely come into it. You don't want to appear that you're struggling because you're not like that. You're not a struggler, but we all are. So yeah, the vulnerability that I'm kind of putting across, maybe not. I don't know what you think. I'm not sure where you sit with that. But I've been definitely learning about vulnerability and why it's so important, because pride is not a good thing either. So to accept help, you have to ask for it, and to ask for help, you need to say that you're struggling. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. It has been a pretty bad month, but it has also been a great month. God's taught me a lot. I've been in one of probably my favourite place in the entire world. I've seen some of my best friends. I've reconnected with people that I haven't seen for a few years. Like life is hard right now, but God is still good in that. That's just where I'm at right now. I'm gonna leave it here. There'll be a video going out on Thursday actually about the 21 lessons that I've learned in my 21 years of life, because a week today that you're seeing this, it's my 21st birthday, and so I have quite a lot of life lessons to learn. Even within a month you can see what God's been teaching me, but there have been so many lessons in 21 years that I'm going to try and whittle it down to just 21. And yeah, it might be a bit more upbeat than this, but it also might not. It just depends. But yeah, I will see you Monday for a geography video, Thursday for that video, and then maybe Saturday. I'm not in the mood to film a weekly vlog right now. It just doesn't seem right, because there is so many ups and downs, and a lot of my time I am just spent processing things, and I find it really useful to process out loud actually, but a lot of what I'm filming isn't deliberately for online. One day it might end up there, but I just talk in a way of processing what's going on in my head. But yeah, if any of what I've said has resonated with you, or you'd like to talk about it, do just drop me a message on Instagram. I'd love to chat things through. There might be things that I won't tell you, or not happy discussing yet, but yeah, I don't know what else to say. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next month for the September instalment. Bye guys.